Joining me today on the Capital Show, Pastor Chris Edmonds. We're going to talk today about heroes. We're going to listen to your father's story. But first of all, I would like to start our conversation by asking you to introduce yourself very briefly.
Thank you, Maria. I'm Pastor Chris Edmonds from Maryville, Tennessee. Back here, we say Murrayville, so you might try that sometime. I have a family of three daughters and three son-in-laws. They're wonderful, amazing uh, individuals, and then I have 10 of the coolest grandchildren on the planet. Married to my high school sweetheart, and my father was in World War II, and that's the story we're going to talk about today. But thank you for having me. It's a joy to be with you.
Thank you. Thank you. The pleasure is mine. So, your father, Master Sergeant Roddie Edmonds, who was born in 1919 and died in 1985, what was his legacy? And he was known as Roddie, excuse me. So, can you tell us more about your father?
Absolutely. Dad was just an ordinary man, just like an ordinary person, just like you and me. He was great in his role as a father and a husband. He was always my hero, and I never knew much about, if anything, of what he did in World War II. And so when I discovered that he truly was a hero, it was shocking, but it also didn't surprise me because Dad was a really kind of a right and wrong kind of guy. Was a man of faith even before the war, during the war, and after the war. Strong Christian values that he learned from his parents. Actually, his mom died when he was age 3, but his dad and then his dad's sister stepped in to kind of be the surrogate mom.
Mm,
Um, and so he learned East Tennessee values, but he also learned biblical values. And
mm,
so he was a man of faith and a man of deep moral conviction of
mhm.
right and wrong. And we were very blessed to have him as our father and grandfather.
Yeah. So my question is about the official recognition from the Congress about your father legacy, heroism. So how did Congress manage the process of granting your father an honorary status?
Well, they haven't done that yet, but they have both the Senate and the House have presented a gold medal bill
Mm,
to honor my father. And it takes 2/3 majority on both the House and the Senate for that to happen. And we're really excited and hoping that that will happen. We're having an event to kick this campaign off this Wednesday at the U.S. Capitol, a luncheon. And many of our key senators and congressmen who are part of this campaign will be there. Others who are joining that campaign will be there. And so we're very excited. We're the Friedlander group led by Ezra Friedlander he's heading up this campaign. I'm so grateful for him and his group, his team. They've done a wonderful job. But we're very excited. It takes a lot of momentum to build that interest. But everyone who hears that story wants to honor him
mm,
in a very special way and nationally, because he is a national hero that's just not been recognized. And so I'm grateful to Congress. It started back in 2014 when I first started discovering the story and then pursuing a Medal of Honor
mm,
recommendation for Dad through the Army and on up through the military. The gold medal is the highest civilian award given by the United States,
mm.
and then the Medal of Honor is the highest military award, and it's given by the armed forces for valor. And I think Dad's worthy of both. Um, and everybody that ever hears the story says the same. So we're really hopeful and praying that it will happen this session of Congress. I'm grateful to Senator Blackburn and Senator Brian Jazz, and then also for my Representative Tim Burchett here in Tennessee, and then Jared Moskowitz, representative as well. So it's bipartisan, both the House and the Senate. Others have already signed on, and we're really hoping for success. So I'm very grateful. Thank you for asking.
Yeah, do you remember that? I remember the speech of President Obama about your father. Can you recall it or talk about it? The
Oh,
occasion was it?
you
Yeah.
know, absolutely. It was an amazing moment for us as a family, and really for our nation, for Israel. Um, for the first time ever, a sitting president visited the Israeli embassy in Washington. That was in 2016. It was exactly 70 years from the date that Dad stood up for his men. It was on January 27 of 2016. Um, and the Prime Minister of Israel, Prime Minister Netanyahu, and also Ambassador Ron Dermer invited President Obama to come, and gratefully, President Obama wanted to come because Dad is the first U.S. soldier to be named righteous among the nations, the highest honor given
Yeah.
by the nation of Israel for those that stood up
Hmm.
the Jewish people during the Holocaust. And so it was an incredible experience. President Obama was the main speaker, a guest of honor, obviously. Three of the um, wonderful POWs, Jewish men who Dad helped save. Three of those men were there. They were all in their 90s, 90 years old, and there was just a great rapport between the president
Hmm.
and the POWs.
Yeah. Also, I'm curious to know about President Trump. Does he fulfill your father legacy? What President Trump shows interest about your father?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, really, all of the presidents that's known about Dad, President Obama, President Biden, and President Trump have all been very gracious and very interested in seeing Dad receive awards.
Mm.
President Trump actually honored Dad and also Lester Tanner, one of the POWs, one of the main POWs that first told me the story about Dad
Mhm.
uh, in New York City at the Veterans Day Parade in 2019. He was the first sitting president to visit the parade. He spoke, and in part of his remarks, he honored my father. So both of my twin daughters were there, their husbands were there, and then Lester was there. He spoke to Lester directly to the crowd,
Mm. Wow.
and it was amazing. I couldn't be there because I was speaking in South Carolina to high school students that had been scheduled forever, and I
Mm.
just couldn't say no to the high school students.
Yeah.
But my daughters got to go, and so it was a great honor. That can also be seen on YouTube. But his remarks were very special. And
Yeah.
like I said, anyone who hears from presidents to prime ministers to you and me, just common people, it's very inspiring. It brings us hope that there's hope for humanity.
Mm.
POWs tell me,
So this is my question, which is the last one. What the message does your father legacy teach us today? What can the world at present learn from your father's life?
well, let me just kind of give you the nutshell of his story, and then I'll tack that on if that's okay. But Dad was the highest ranking American soldier in a Stalag 9A in a POW camp for non-commissioned officers near Ziegenhain, in Germany. On the second night that they entered into the camp, when Dad, became the leader for all the American POWs, he received orders that only the Jewish men were to fall out the following morning. No one else, just the Jews. Anyone who disobeyed the orders would be shot. And without hesitation, Dad turned to his men. He said, "We're not doing that." He said, "Tomorrow morning we all fall out." He sent orders to the other barracks. So there was nearly 1,300 American GIs
Mm.
in that POW camp. And on that following morning, it was bitterly cold. They stepped out, and the Nazi commander approached. He couldn't believe his eyes. He was stunned. All the Americans, nearly 1,300 soldiers, were lined up in sharp formation. And the German from high command, he's one person removed from Hitler. He's in charge of all the POW camps in the German system, a Major Ziegman. He
Mm.
stormed over to my father, got in his face, and he said, "They can't all be Jews." And my father looked at him and said, "We are all Jews here." And that really stunned the major. And there was a lot of more interaction between those two. But ultimately, the major pulled his weapon,
Mm.
Luger, stuck it in my father's forehead. He said, "You will order the Jews to step forward, or I will shoot you right now."
Mm.
And
So,
Dad refused to do that. Dad looked at him in the eyes and he says, "Major, you can shoot me, but you have to kill all of us because we know who you are, and you'll be tried for war crimes when we win this war, and you will pay."
That's really an act of heroism. Thank you for sharing the story. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but we are running out of time. So we're looking forward to see you on Wednesday and share this lovely moment. It's a great act of heroism, and congratulations again. Thank you, Chris Edmonds, for coming to the show, and happy President's Day.
Thank you so much. Just go out and be the hero. Thank you. God bless.